Action. All right, welcome back to the Chemical Man Podcast Show. I'm your host, Chris. My wife's here joining me again. We want to talk about another topic today and see what we can help some people. So what would you like to talk about today?
So we're going to talk about resumes.
Oh, resume. That's a good topic. Okay.
So I know you've helped quite a few people on resumes. Yep. I think you counted over 100
at
this point.
Already.
Yep. And so I wanted to talk about some of the things that we see in the resumes that are coming across to us, and what is helping and not helping people get looked at and viewed and getting to the next step of the interview.
So a lot of the resumes I've looked at, some of them, and I get it. You might be first time writing a resume, you've never had a written one before or anything like that, and I get it. We've all had to start out somewhere. But some of it is very vague. Like you have, I don't know, I'll use an example. You worked at Papacitos and you were a server. And that might be all you have for what you did on there. Or you might work at Burger King and, you're a fry cook and a cashier and a drive-thru attendant, stuff like that. The different things between resumes, sometimes you can put too much, sometimes you can put too little. It's all about putting the right amount on there. And it doesn't really have to, it can be a page. It's probably good, but you can have 2 pages if you want on there. A good cover letter always helps too on there. I know everybody I've done, sometimes it goes to 2 pages. I always do a cover letter for everybody on there too to make sure that they have a nice cover letter for that. But you really kind of want to just put what you do, what you've done at a job, the basic stuff on there. It's good to have your name, definitely phone number where they can reach you, the right phone number, and a right email they can reach you. Because there's been a couple of people that had the wrong email, and they were like, man, I didn't realize I had the wrong email on my resume. No wonder why I wasn't getting any returns on there. Have a good objective on there, a good summary. Make sure you have your education on there. If you got a high GPA, that's good. If you want any kind of awards for that, that's good too. Make sure you have your college degree on there. There was one I was working on. The guy's like, I got a 4-year degree. Well, why don't you have that on there? Have your degree on there. This is stuff you want to put on there. Anything.
It can become overwhelming, when you think about all the stuff you want to put on there. But you have to be very selective of how you lay it out. I know when I look at resumes, the first thing I do is I look at the visual aspect of it.
Correct.
Because I personally review a lot of resumes for people that are coming in, not for operators, but for other positions. And when it doesn't come across electronically very well, it immediately throws your eye off, and you're having difficulty trying to figure out who the person is, what their name is, what their experience is. So making sure that you have it visually set up properly is extremely important. And then being selective of the information you put on is important.
It is. And it's also, it's also hard to talk about yourself too. Some people can do it, but not everybody can do it. You're like, how do I describe myself, or how do I describe what I do? And I know you want to put a lot of work, you want to put a lot of information in there, but I had one guy one time, and my gosh, he had so much on his resume, and I was like, dude, we gotta like shorten this down. We've got to like cut some of this stuff out of here. I went through it. He had like 3 pages long. I cut it down to 2. I made it look better. He had his bullets all over the place. He had his dates way over here on one side versus the stuff over here. So you just think simplify. You want to make it simplify. But what I told him, I said, if there's just something you want to put a lot of information on yourself, man, make a LinkedIn page. Some of them look at it, some of them don't. But you can actually put the LinkedIn address on your resume. So when you hand your resume, if it's electronic, they can click on it. They can go, okay, well, let's read more about this guy. See what more we have on there too. Job fairs. Think about when you go to job fairs, and you're handing out your resumes there in person, or you're even they'll tell you, hey, send your resume to this spot. Think about that. You want it to look good. You don't really have to have the whole fancy where you got your name up here with a line down. This color's green. This color's blue. This color's white. Yeah, it pops with colors, but it looks good. But you don't really have to have that because
it's not important.
It's not important. You're going to upload your resume into a file anyway, and it's usually a lot of times when you upload a resume, it's places it's going to go ahead and once you upload, it's going to fill in all the blanks for you anyway. So it's almost like when they pull it up, they're just going to be reading the blanks that are pre-filled in.
Yeah, in some companies, when you apply for a job and you send your resume electronically, it uploads into their HR system, and so they're not going to even see the fancy layout that you have designed.
Yeah.
They're going to see all the content. They're going to see the dates of your employments. They're going to see the summaries that you've given and the skills that you've laid out, but they're not going to see the fancy colors and all of that stuff. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time on making sure that the colors look good or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would definitely make sure you have it laid out clearly so that those electronic systems can pick up the right things like the job and then the dates that you worked at that place. Because if you don't put those in a line that is easily readable, it can be very distorted when it gets uploaded into the systems.
It really can. And that's the last thing you want is to have it all over the place on there, But like I said, most what they're going to do is they're going to look at your resume and they want to make a quick look of it. They want to see that you were employed here. They want to read a few things that once they see your interest, and then they say, okay, well I see John Doe. I like what he has on his resume. I want to interview him. That's the time they're going to ask you the questions. That's the time you can let them know more stuff about what you're doing and on there. You don't have to have it all typed out on there, because I have seen some people be like, well, it's in my resume. Why do you need to ask me? Well, I want to ask about you. I'm hiring you. I'm not hiring what you have written on your resume. I don't care. I'm hiring you. So talk to me, kind of thing. The gist of what you had on your resume is what's got me wanting to talk to you. I don't need everything explained like that.
I think it's important to have a good brief summary of each of your jobs. Brief summary meaning like what was the core responsibility of your job. And if they all of your experiences go together, then just create a skills block. So in a block on your resume, you're going to say, these are all my skills. As an operator at 2 different plants, I did, and then fill in the blank. And then you can put your employment history from this job to this job, from this date to this date. This job was this date to this date. And then the skills all translate together because they were the same skill set. I did the same thing.
Now, if you've worked somewhere and you've been fired, don't necessarily worry about that. So if you've been fired, all they're legally should do is they're just going to verify your dates. I am calling X Chemical over here to say, hey, was John Doe employed from March 2004 to December 2020? Yes, he was. That's it. That's all they say, would you hire him back? They can say yes or no. Now, we know everybody out there knows somebody in these plants, and sometimes people think they get blackballed, and that happens. But I can tell you right now, I work with guys that have gotten fired from Exxon. Got fired from Chevron. Got fired from ExxonMobil. Got fired from Pasadena Refinery, which was Crown, and then that later it's something else. They've had good jobs. They've gotten fired, but they're able to land good jobs because they put the information in there. They didn't lie about it. The company's called, they verified their employment, and that was it. Now, if they find out and they ask you, so if they say, hey, what happened here? I noticed that you left here. You were only here for so long. You can tell them, yes, I was fired, or yes, I was let go, it was a layoff or something like that. And then if they ask you, you can explain if you want, well, I was fired for this or I was fired for that. But most time, if they don't ask, you don't have to worry about it. They're just going to call your employee, verify the dates are correct, and if you would hire them again, and that's pretty much all. That's legally all they really can do. That's all I've seen. I mean,
gaps in employment is a little bit more of a red flag than if you were just putting in there that you were only with a company for a year and a half.
Yeah.
You don't have to put on your resume that you were fired. All you do is say that I was with this company from this date to this date, and these are the skill sets and the job description that I had at that particular company. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah,
if they ask you more information, if they ask you why you left that company, then you can say that I left, and you can elaborate on that how you choose to elaborate on it. But that's an interview question that you don't have to worry about in your resume. Your resume should only have the facts. I was employed from this date to this date, and this is the job description that I had or the skill sets that I had for that particular time. Don't go into elaboration in your resume, because if you start to go into elaboration on your resume, the resume is going to slowly get buried under all the other resumes that don't have all of that
That's
extra
very true.
information.
And if you also have military experience, man, put that military experience down there too. Because a lot of jobs will take military experience over college. They will. Like if it's a certain field that you're in the military, like if you were an aircraft mechanic or you're a tank mechanic, man, that's good skill sets for if you're going to be an operator or something. They'll take that over. They'll take that over schooling a lot of places. I know ours will. Ours will take at least 5+ years of military experience on there, and then you don't have to worry about the college. So, look at that too on there. But make sure you put that on there if you have it.
Yeah. I know that you've helped a lot of people with the resumes.
Yes, I have.
And you've cleaned up quite a few resumes.
I've cleaned up a lot of resumes. I've helped a lot of resumes. I've given a lot of tips and tricks for interviews. I've talked to people about different testing, Cobra tests and stuff like that. People have sent me emails left and right, and I'm pretty quick about responding. They've asked questions through different places, and I'm willing to help. I can't get you the job, but I can help you to get there closer to where you want the job, kind of thing.
It's funny though. You say you can't get them the job, which you can't. You're not there doing the.
Yeah,
you're not hiring. However, you have helped people to the point that their resumes have been noticed.
That is true. I've helped a lot of people that have. A lot of people that have gotten. I won't say there's been several that have gotten just recently got the jobs at Ineos. There's been one in Louisiana that I helped with his resume and helped his tips and trips, and he got a job at, man, I can't remember the name of his company. There's been another guy that I've helped that was going for Pepsi. There's been another one at another Ineos, a Chocolate Bio out there. There's been that one. Exxon, I've helped them to get their stuff for Exxon, all the different places, I've even helped people in other states, like I've even helped some guy that just graduated college, and he had his resume all over the place, and I cut it down really good, but he was still like, man, I just don't think it's enough. I said, dude, trust me, just go with this simple stuff you have. Everything you have on here is perfect. It's good. Just take my word for it. If you or better yet, if I help somebody with a resume and they have their resume, then look at your resume and look at what I helped you with. And if you want to add or take away, then at least you have both of them there, so you can do that on that. But I know I don't mind doing it for free. A lot of people charge stuff money out there, but it's pretty simple nowadays. And once you get one down, it's pretty much all the same. As long as you have everything listed in there, you can change everything on there. But yeah,
I think the point though is that cleaning up the resume and making it effective for what job you're trying to get is beneficial, because you have helped. You do have evidence that you have helped people get at least their foot into the interview room. Because that's the challenge.
That is the challenge.
If your resume is not good, your job descriptions are not right, your skill sets are not right, you're not getting your foot into the room to do the interview.
That is true.
If you don't get there, you don't ever get the job.
That's true. If you can get in that room with the interview, then you 99% of the time you can talk, you can answer questions, and you can go from there. I know people say they get nervous in interviews, but you just talk to somebody, you just think about it. Just talk about like you're talking with your friend, or look in the mirror. Look dead in the mirror and talk to yourself. That's a good way to do it too, man. You can sit there and talk to yourself, and you're like, man, do I really look like that? Do I really answer the questions like that? Okay, maybe I need to change up a little bit, I'll
record yourself.
Yeah, record yourself and go back and watch it. Then you'll really be like, wait a minute, I don't even want to look at this. I need to redo this whole thing. Do that once or twice, and you'll change how you talk in the interview on that one. But we just wanted to come on here and talk about some resumes. Hopefully, get some tips and tricks on there. Hopefully, helps people out. Think about different ways on there. And here's another thing too. some people have to admit that they have too much. That's another thing too, man. Admitting that you want to simplify or make it better is something you got to do too. If you're so gung-ho about having this on there and all this stuff on there, man, maybe take a step back and be like, you know what? Maybe some of these people are right. Maybe I need to take less off to help me get the interview process and get my foot in the door versus having too much. So, think that too.
So here's the thing. If you're not getting your foot in the door for the interview in the interview room, then your resume needs some work.
That's very true. It does. It needs a lot of work.
It's not going to be for lack of experience, because we hire people with all different types of backgrounds and experience levels. We hire people with military backgrounds. We hire people with P-Tech degrees. We hire people without P-Tech degrees. We hire people with a 4-year degree. It's all over the place. So if your resume is not right, you're not going to get your foot in the interview room.
And not so much getting in the door yet, but if your resume is good, they're going to look at your resume, and then they're going to usually have a test for you to take. Once you get to that test and you take that test, then you're good. So your resume is good to get you in the door to take the test. So that's a plus right there. Once you take the test and you ace it, then you go for your interview from there. So think about that. Now, some places have a test, and once you pass the test, you'll take another test on there, but most of the time, it's if you got a good resume, they'll look at it. They'll all right, send this guy to go test. Once he goes test, and you can go from there too, on that.
Yeah.
You got any other thing you want to?
I think that's it. I think you gotta just be smart and take your time.
Yeah. My son would like to say hello again. Say hello to everybody. He would like to point out that he added Hey Lego here, so everybody say hello to Hey there too. All right. Everybody like, share, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Once again, if you, like we said, if you need help with your resume, send it to me. I'll look at it and see what I can do to try to simplify it and help you out. And one more thing. You have anything else?
No.
No?
I don't think
All right.
so.
Everybody have a good day, and y'all take it easy. And is our pup coming to say hello? Our pup's coming to say hello. Anyway, y'all have a good night and take it easy. Until the next time. Out.